Assalamu alaikum. This is Bilal Rana and you're watching Atoms of Bilal. Today we are going to solve a very important chemistry paper. This is October-November 2018, paper 1 variant 2, and you know that the total time for this paper is 1 hour. So let's begin. Question number 1, it says magnesium reacts with oxygen in air to form magnesium oxide, which is a white powder. So this is important. So basically you are burning magnesium in air and you get magnesium oxide, which is white powder, and powder is solid. A student investigate the change in mass. So basically a student investigating the change in mass occurs during this reaction. He has balance and other three sets of apparatus shown. So along with balance, other three pieces of apparatus are also shown. Which set of apparatus are suitable for this investigation? So basically we are measuring the change in mass of magnesium before and after the reaction, right? So we definitely need balance for this, but along with balance, other pieces of apparatus. So let's look at the first apparatus. In this we are having metal tongs and we are burning magnesium. So when you burn the magnesium, it's in the statement it says that it changes to powder, right? So but in this particular apparatus, the powder will be wasted, or we cannot measure the exact mass. So this is an incorrect apparatus. We cannot measure the mass of powder in this apparatus. In experiment 2, you have a tube and you are actually blowing air from one side and you are heating magnesium metal and air is coming out from the other side. So it changes into the magnesium powder, and using balance you can weigh the difference in mass. So this apparatus can work. Similarly, the third apparatus, in which you have crucible, inside crucible you have magnesium and you are heating the magnesium, and definitely it will change into powder and you can measure the mass before and after. So this apparatus can also work. So this means apparatus 2 and 3 are suitable for this investigation. So therefore C is the correct answer. Question number 2, it says four substances are heated gently. The temperature at which they start and finish melting are recorded. So we are actually having four substances, 1, 2, 3 and 4, as shown in the options. The first substance start melts at 117 and it finish melting at 117. So before we actually go through this whole options, we know that a pure substance melts at fixed temperature, melts at and boil, right? Whereas impure substances melts and boils over a range of temperatures. So their melting point are not fixed, range of temperature. So anything which melts at fixed temperature is pure, which means this substance A is pure. The second substance, it start melting at 0, finish melting at 0, again pure. So the third substance start melting in 36 and finish melting in 40, which means this is impure. And same goes for this fourth, start melting in 105 and complete melting in 105. So this is also impure. What is the question? Which statement about this substance is correct? We are looking for the correct statement. Substance 1 is the only pure substance. No, we know that substance 1 and 2 both are pure because they melt at fixed temperature. So this first statement, not only but 1 and 2 are pure. Substance 3 and 4 are impure. So I think this makes sense. 3 and 4, they both are impure. So this is correct. Substance 4 is water. It is not water because it is melting at 100. So incorrect. They all are solid. They all are not solid because substance 2, it melt at 0, so it is liquid. So all A, C and D are incorrect. Therefore the correct answer is B. Okay. Question number 3, a substance dissolves in water. to form a colorless solution. This solution reacts with aqueous silver nitrate in the presence of dilute nitric acid to give yellow PPT. One thing you need to learn that in our syllabus, yellow PPT are always given by a substance which contain iodines. So along with iodines, we need to see which substance form colorless solution. Let's start with option number A, calcium. It forms colorless solution in water, and when you add dilute nitric acid, for example AgNO3, this nitric acid actually reacts with iodine aqueous, this is also aqueous, to form silver iodide precipitate which are yellow in color, right? So this statement 1 is correct. Copper is a transition metal, iron is also transition metal, so they cannot form colorless solution in water. Whereas chloride ions, when it react with silver, so it does not form yellow PPT, rather it form white precipitate, right? So this form white precipitate. D is also not the correct answer, so therefore the correct answer is A. Moving on to the next question, which sub-statement are correct? So we are again looking for the correct statement. The volume of gas at constant pressure increases as the temperature increases. So this statement is correct because volume has direct relation with temperature. As you increase the temperature, the volume also increases. This is correct statement. The rate of diffusion of a gas increases as the temperature increases. This seems to be correct because diffusion directly proportional to the temperature. So as the temperature increases, rate of diffusion also increases. So the statement 2 is also correct. Third one, the pressure of a gas at constant volume decreases as the temperature increases. So when you increase the temperature, basically temperature and pressure also have direct relation. As you increase the temperature, pressure should increase, but here it says the pressure of gas at constant volume decreases. This increases rather, so this is an incorrect statement, which means only 1 and 2. So option number B therefore is the correct answer. Which particle contain the greatest number of electrons? Okay, so magnesium atomic number 10 with atomic number 12. So with 12 atomic number, the charge is of +2, so it have 10 electron. Nitrogen atomic number 7 with charge 3 negative, it also have 10 electron because there are 3 negative charge. Neon atomic number 10, so it has 10 electron with no charge. Sulfur atomic number 16, there is 2 negative charge, so the electrons are total 18. Therefore the greatest number of electrons are present in sulfidine. Which substance has a giant covalent structure at RTP? Giant covalent. Methane is simple molecular, so this is incorrect. Sand, the formula is SiO2. There are 3 giant covalent. Along with sand, we have diamond, we have graphite. They both are made up of carbon. The third one is sand, so therefore this is the correct answer. Sodium chloride is giant ionic. This is giant ionic, not covalent. Water is simple molecular, so therefore B is the correct answer. So question number 7, one atom of element X and 2 atoms of element Y react to form an ionic compound. So one atom of element X and 2 atoms of element Y react to form an ionic compound. Therefore the correct formula would be XY2 because it is from the statement 1 atom of X and 2 atoms of Y, so this should be the formula. Element X form the positive ion, so which means element X is a metal. And to find the correct answer, let's see the choices. Calcium is group 2 metal, so it have 2 positive charge. Chlorine is group 7, so it have 1 minus charge. By doing the cross multiplication, 1 and 2 over here, so I think this makes sense because 1 atom of calcium reacts with 2 atoms of chlorine, so this seems to be correct. Let's look at the other choices. Calcium is group 2 metal and oxygen is group 6 element, so it gain 2 negative charge. The formula will then be CaO, so it's 1:1. This is incorrect. And same goes with sodium. Sodium is group 1 metal +1 charge, chlorine is group 7, so they would have 1:1, so this is again incorrect. And sodium is group 1 metal and oxygen is group 6, so by doing the cross multiplication, 2 atoms of sodium reacts with 1 atom of oxygen. Here the ratio is correct, but according to the statement, element X is from positive ion. But in this particular X has +1 charge, so it cannot 1 atom of sodium cannot react with 2 atoms of oxygen. So this is again incorrect. Therefore, the correct answer is A. Question number 8. An element with high melting point. So we have an element whose melting point is very high. It forms an oxide which is gas at room temperature. Which type of bonding structure or bonding are present in element? So as you know that we have an element called carbon. It has high melting point and room temperature in both graphite and diamond because they both are giant covalent. When you burn the carbon, whether it is graphite or diamond, you get carbon dioxide, which is gas, but this is solid at room temperature. So it's the bonding present in carbon is giant covalent. So you can say the bonding is giant covalent. So therefore this A is the correct answer. Which statement explains why aluminum is malleable? So aluminum is malleable. Any substance is malleable because of the layers which can slide over each other. So aluminum has layers of cations. Since aluminum is metal, so this is true because metals contain layers of cations that can slide over another. This is true. Let's look at the other choices. Aluminum has layers of electron. It does not have layers of electrons. Aluminum has weak bond between the proton and sea of electron. It is metal, so the bond are very strong. And again, it has nothing to do with malleability. So this is incorrect. Aluminum is covered with layer of unreactive aluminum oxide. The statement is true, but it has nothing to do with the malleability. So again, this is incorrect. Therefore, A is the correct answer. Question number 10. The incomplete equation for the reaction between ethine, which is one of the unsaturated hydrocarbon, is shown, and oxygen is shown. So we need to balance this equation. Write the equation is when the equation is balanced, what is the correct value of oxygen gas? So let's first balance. We have 4 carbons over here. Let's put 4 with this carbon to balance the carbons. Then we have 4 hydrogens on the reactant side. 4 hydrogens. I will put 4 with this. So I'll put 2 over here to make it 4. Now let's balance the oxygens. Now we have 8 oxygen in the first molecule with carbon di, and we have 2 oxygen. So we have total 10 oxygens on the right side. To make it 10, I will put 5 over here. So the value with oxygen will surely be 5. A compound contains 40% of carbon, it contains 6.7% of hydrogen, and it contains 53.3% of oxygen by mass. The relative formula of this compound is between 55 and 65. What is the molecular formula of this compound? To find the molecular formula, let's first find the ratio. Empirical formula, CH and O. The percentage of all the atoms, we can write the percentage: 40% carbon, 6.7% hydrogen, and you have 53.3% oxygen. So step number 1 is, when you have percentages or the masses, find the moles by dividing them with atomic masses. Atomic mass of carbon is 12, atomic mass of hydrogen is 1, and atomic mass of oxygen is 16. So by dividing 40 with 12, the answer is 3.33. Since there is 1 in the denominator, so I will write the same value, and 53.3 divided by 16, the answer is again 3.33. Now the second step is you divide with the smallest answer. The smallest value is this 3.3, so I will divide this with all the values, 3.33. So when you divide, you will get 1 with this, 2 with this, and 1 with this. So the empirical formula is then CH2O. Now let's get back to the statement. The relative formula mass of the compound is 55 and 65. Let's first find the relative formula masses. This has 1 carbon, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So the empirical formula would then be 30, which is incorrect. It should be somewhere between 55 and 65. For this we have 2 carbons, which is 24, 4 hydrogens, and we have 1 oxygen. So it would be 44. This is again incorrect because it should be between 55 and 65. This compound have 2 carbons and 1 carbon is 12. It has 4 hydrogens and it has 2 oxygens, 2 times 16. So the formula would then be, it would be 24, and by doing the calculation, it would be 32 plus 28. So the value is 60, right? And for this, I have 2 carbons and 2 carbon, which is 24, and I have 2 oxygens, which is 32, and then I have 6 hydrogens. So the MR of this compound is 62. Okay, so now to find the molecular formula of this compound, I need to use the formula called N, is molecular formula mass, which is either 60 or 62, because A or B cannot be the true answers. So I will first divide with the molecular formula mass over empirical formula mass, which is this. This is the empirical formula. We can find the mass of this compound. We have 1 carbon, we have 2 hydrogen, and we have 1 oxygen. So it would be, yeah, so 24 plus 16, this would be 30. So the N would then be 2. Okay, so if I multiply, then whatever N is, you multiply it with the empirical formula and you get the molecular formula, which will be C2H4 and O2. So let's look at the choices. So the answer, correct answer therefore is C. Question number 12. What is observed during the electrolysis of aqueous copper 2 sulfate using carbon electrode? So we are doing the electrolysis of aqueous copper 2 sulfate, right? And we have inert electrode, which we name it as carbon electrode. So let's first write the formula of aqueous copper sulfate, and then the ions. When you pass the current through aqueous copper sulfate, it will produce Cu2 plus copper, and since it is aqueous, it will definitely produce H plus and OH negative. Anode attracts the anion, so it attracts the hydroxide ion because it is lower in the series, and the series is sulfate, nitrate, chloride, bromide, iodide, and hydroxide. So if the solution is dilute, anion which is present in lower, in dilute always hydroxide ion discharges, and the equation for hydroxide ion is 4 hydroxide ion produce 1 oxygen, 2 water, and 4 moles of electron. So this is gas and this is liquid. So we get oxygen at anode, right? And for cathode, again the one which is lower in the series, copper ions, and copper aqueous are blue in color, and when they deposit, they become pink deposit at cathode, right? So since from the solution copper ion get deposited on cathode, the blue color of the solution fades. So the observation will be a pink solid deposits at anode. So pink solid does not deposit at anode, rather it deposit at cathode. Bubbles of forms at negative electrode. At negative electrode you see pink solid deposit, so negative electrode is actually cathode, right? So this is incorrect again. The color of solution fades. This makes sense because copper ion get deposits, so color fades. Negative electrode becomes smaller, negative electrode get deposits, so it become bigger in size. Therefore C is the correct answer. Okay, so 4 processes using electrolysis are listed. The electrolysis of concentrated aqueous sodium chloride, okay, electrolysis of dilute sulfuric acid, the extraction of aluminum from impure aluminum oxide, and the purification of copper using aqueous copper sulfate. The question is, which process produces oxygen at one of the electrodes. So let's see the write all the choices. Aqueous sodium chloride, so we have NaCl. When you pass the current, you produce Na plus Cl negative, H positive and OH negative. Since this is concentrated, so it is the chlorine gas, and from this hydrogen gas, so oxygen is not going to form when you electrolyze concentrated aqueous sodium chloride. For dilute sulfuric acid, we have H2SO4. The ions present, H plus, sulfate 2 negative, since it is dilute, so it will form OH negative and H positive. So hydroxide ion will deposited at anode making oxygen, so this will release oxygen, and at cathode you will see hydrogen gas. Extraction of aluminum from aluminum oxide, so aluminum oxide will produce aluminum 3 plus and oxide 2 negative. These ions will move to anode releasing oxygen gas. Equation is O2 negative. They form oxygen gas, 2 of them, and 4 electrons will be given out. So again oxygen gas is released. So this statement is also true. During the purification of copper, you have copper sulfate aqueous, you have Cu2 plus, SO4 2 negative and H plus and OH negative. Since you are doing the purification, so your anode and cathode both are made up of copper. Anode is impure copper, so at anode the impure copper, it loses electron and it become aqueous copper, and at cathode the copper ions, they approaches the cathode and pink solid deposit, so no oxygen is produced in 4, so only 2 and 3, therefore this B is the correct answer. Which statement is about endothermic reactions are correct? Heat is absorbed from the surrounding. This is true because in endothermic reaction heat is absorbed. Energy is released to the surrounding. This is incorrect. Temperature of the reaction mixture falls. This is true because if you look at this exothermic reaction, whenever exothermic reaction occurs, the substance in which the exothermic reaction is taking place, it become heated, like the temperature of that substance increases. When you burn anything, you cannot come closer to that substance because heat is given out and the temperature of the mixture rises. This is for exo, but for endo, temperature of the reaction mixture falls. This is true. And temperature of the reaction mixture rises in exothermic. This is incorrect. So 1 and 3, therefore A is the correct answer. Question number 15. A fuel completely burned in air. So you're burning something, which means you're actually having exothermic reaction. Burning is always exo. Carbon dioxide, water and heat is produced. So heat produced means exo, surely. So we need to see the energy profile diagram of burning a fuel. In energy profile, you always show the activation energy, whereas in A and B, no activation energy is shown. So they are incorrect choices. C and D. So C is an exothermic reaction where product are at low energy level. So this is your product and these are your reactant. Arrow is always toward the product, so delta H is negative. So this will be your answer. This is an endothermic reaction where delta H is positive. So this is incorrect diagram. The equation shows for the reaction of manufacturing of ammonia. So we are having ammonia. When 1 mole of nitrogen gas reacts with 3 moles of hydrogen gas to make 2 moles of ammonia gas. Which change will decrease the activation energy? Activation energy is always decreased when you add the catalyst. So this is option number A is correct. Decreasing temperature will slow down the reaction. Increasing in concentration will either shift the equilibrium to the side where you have low concentration, and increasing in pressure will shift the equilibrium to the side where we have low moles of gases. So therefore option number A is correct. Question number 17. You have solid ammonium chloride. We have ammonium chloride solid. So ammonium chloride NH4Cl you are heating. The gas produces is ammonia gas and HCl. So HCl and ammonia gases are produced. This is reaction 1. Ammonia gas is mixed with HCl. Ammonia gas is mixed with HCl. So ammonia gas is mixed with HCl gas. Solid ammonium chloride is formed. So you get ammonium chloride solid is formed, where in the reaction 1 you can see you can again convert your ammonium chloride to ammonia, which means this is a reversible reaction. This is reaction 2. This is reaction 2 and this was reaction 1. They're actually equal but opposite. Which statement is correct? Both reactions are exothermic. So we cannot, since in the first reaction we are heating, so first reaction is endothermic. So both are not exothermic, incorrect. Reaction 2 is reversible. So I think this is correct, because in reaction 2 we are actually, we change ammonia and HCl to ammonium chloride, which can be reversed back. The equation for the reaction 1, this is incorrect formula, so this is not true. The three substances each are simple molecular structure. Ammonia and HCl simple molecular, but ammonium chloride is giant ionics, right? So this is untrue. Therefore, B is the correct answer. In a closed flask, Q and R reaches dynamic equilibrium. Okay, the enthalpy change is positive, which means this is the forward reaction is endothermic. 1 mole of Q forms 2 moles of gas R. Which change will move the equilibrium to the right? So we want to shift the equilibrium to the right side and we want to make more R. Adding a catalyst. So remember, catalyst cannot alter the position of equilibrium. It only lowers the activation energy and speeds up the reaction. Since delta H is positive, a decreasing in temperature will shift the equilibrium to the left side. So this is again incorrect. Increasing in pressure. If you increase the pressure, the equilibrium shifts to that side where we have low moles of gases. So in this question, we have moles of gas, low moles of gas on the left side. So again, equilibrium will move to the left. Incorrect. Increasing the volume. So if you increase the volume, you actually are decreasing the pressure, because a high volume exert low pressure, and a low pressure shift to that side, shift the equilibrium, the position of equilibrium to that side with high moles of gases, with more moles of gas. So in this we have more moles of gas on the right side, so which means D is the correct answer. Which reaction is a redox reaction? A redox reaction is one where both oxidation and reduction occurs, and I've told you that whenever you see any element on any side, on both sides or any one side, that is surely a redox reaction. So I can see element on the in option 1 on both sides. Even if element is present on any one side, that is redox reaction. So this is redox. We can prove it using the oxidation numbers. Magnesium is 0, and any unreactive form, any element, any substance in the elemental form, unreactive form, have 0 oxidation number. So magnesium and hydrogen both would have 0. HCl, overall there is no charge, so it is 0. Chlorine is group 7 element, so -1. Hydrogen is +1. And on the product side, overall again 0. There is 2 chlorine, so this will be -2. So to make it 0, magnesium would be 2+. So magnesium is oxidized from 0 to +2, and hydrogen is reduced from +1 to 0. So this is a redox reaction. So that is our answer. You can confirm all other options. They all are not redox reactions. 3 separate mixture of a solution and solid are made as shown in the table. The mixtures are warmed. In which mixture does a gas is formed, right? So we have mixtures, 3 different mixture, and we will confirm, investigate that which of the mixture will produce the gases. So you have ammonium chloride, we have NH4+, and we are adding hydroxide. Whenever you add hydroxide into ammonium salt, you get salt in the product. NaCl will be the salt, Na will displace this whole ammonium, water will be formed, and ammonia gas is produced. So this is true, which means C and D cannot be your answers. Ammonium chloride, it hardly reacts with acid, so it will not produce any gas. So it will not produce the gas, which means A cannot be answer, because there's a tick which shows that it form gas, and it does not form, actually it does not form any gas. And number third, sulfuric acid and magnesium. So you have H2SO4. We know whenever you react your acid with metal, you get salt. Magnesium will displace the hydrogens. Magnesium is group 2 metal and sulfate is 2 minus. So the formula of salt, well, same charges cancel off, so you'll get magnesium sulfate and hydrogen gases given off. So this will again form a gas, therefore this will form gas, this will not form gas, and this will form gas. So B is the correct answer. Carbonates of the carbonate, chloride and sulfate of a metal all soluble in water. So there are only two metals which have all soluble compound with sodium. All compounds of sodium are soluble and all compound of potassium are soluble along with ammonium. This is a complex ion, not a metal. So all sodium, potassium salts are soluble, no matter whether it is sodium carbonate or chloride or potassium carbonate, chloride or sulfate. So barium sulfate is insoluble, calcium carbonate is insoluble, all potassiums are soluble, silver chloride is insoluble. So C is the correct answer. With soluble, you can write potassium carbonate, this is soluble, aqueous. Potassium chloride soluble, which means aqueous, and potassium sulfate also soluble, so aqueous. With soluble you write aqueous, for insoluble you write solid. Which fertilizers contain the highest percentage of nitrogen by mass? So we are looking for the percentage of nitrogen, the highest percentage. Let's investigate the first substance. For those kind of question, I want you to start with D, but it's up to you. Let's start with D. I will show you the formula how to find the percentage of nitrogen in, for example, option D, potassium nitrate. How many nitrogen atom in this formula? 1. And what is the mass? It's 14 for 1 nitrogen. The formula mass is given 101 and you will times it with 100. You will get the percentage of nitrogen in this formula. Similarly, in this option C, you have 2 nitrogen atoms. So 2 times 14. The MR of this is 132 times 100. So in this way you can find the percentage. Wherever you see the highest answer, that will be your correct value. Which set of conditions are used in contact process? So in contact process we manufacture sulfuric acid, where the conditions are we use 450 degree temperature, we use 1 to 10 atm pressure, and we use vanadium pentaoxide as catalyst. So vanadium pentaoxide, pressure is 1 to 10 degrees and temperature is 450 degrees. So all three statements for D are true, which means D is the correct answer. The diagram shows some part of periodic table. Which two letters represent the element that can react to form covalent compound? Covalent bond is present always when two non-metals react. W is metal and X is transition metal. So W and X cannot react to form covalent bond. Only Y and Z, which mean D is the correct answer. The group 1 metals, lithium, sodium, potassium, shows a trend in their melting points. And we know in group 1 melting point decreases down the group. So melting point, let me write, it decreases, trend, it decreases as you go down in group 1. And the second trend which is investigating their reactions with water. So they react with water more vigorously as you move down the group. So reactivity increases down the group. Reactivity increases down in group 2. Okay. Which statement correct going down the group for lithium to potassium? So melting point decreases. Statement 1 and 2 are correct. C and D says increases, which is incorrect. Reaction with water become less vigorous in option number A. It become more vigorous instead. So this is also untrue. Option B, the melting point decreases and the reaction with water become more vigorous, more fast. Therefore, B is the correct answer. From their position in the periodic table, which properties would you expect the element vanadium, chromium and cobalt? So if you look at their position in the periodic table, they are transition elements. They are transition metal. They have variable oxidation state. They have color compound. They have high melting and boiling points. So yeah, I think all 1, 2 and 3 statements are true for vanadium, chromium and cobalt because they are transition elements. The diagram of an alloy is shown, which is a mixture of metal with other substances. Which statement about alloys is correct? Alloys are only formed by mixing copper and iron. No, this is not compulsion. You can make alloy of copper and iron, but this is not the only method to make alloys. High carbon steel alloys are soft. High carbon steel alloys are harder actually. Alloys are generally harder. In an alloy, there is an attraction between positive. Alloys are actually metals. You can say they are mixture of metal, positive ions and C of electron. They are very similar to metals. This is true statement. C is the correct answer. Alloy does not have any chemical formula because they are mixtures. Mixture do not have formulas. It's a compound or molecules do have formulas. Which pair of reagent will undergo displacement reactions? Displacement will occur when a more reactive element, copper sulfate, react with silver. There won't be any reaction because silver is less reactive. This is less reactive than copper, right? So this will not work. Copper and magnesium, again this is very true because copper is less reactive, so A and B cannot be the answers. Magnesium and calcium, so I think magnesium is less reactive than copper, so this is again cannot be the answers because magnesium cannot displace. Whereas zinc is more reactive in the reactivity series, it will displace the copper from copper sulfate. Yeah, so zinc is more reactive. Zinc will displace, forming zinc sulfate, and copper will be produced. So this reaction will work. Therefore, D is the correct answer. Moving on to the 29th question. This question is from metals and reactivity series. The reactivity series of some metals and two gaps labeled and X and Y is shown. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium. X is aluminum according to reactivity series, and Y is iron. Yeah, if you see the reactivity series. Okay, so after aluminum we have carbon in the reactivity series, and elements present before carbon in the reactivity series, they are extracted using electrolysis, and element present after carbon, they simply can be obtained by heating with carbon. So metal X is aluminum, which means A and B can be true option, and metal Y is iron, so true for A and B. And method of extraction of Y, so Y is extracted using heating with carbon, therefore B is the correct answer. Iron can be extracted from its ore called hematite. What is the maximum mass of iron that could be produced from 500 grams? For this we need to write the balance equation of iron, production of iron, right? So we can make 2 moles of iron and oxygen. To balance this I will place 3 over here, and to balance this I need to put 2 over here, and to balance iron I will put 4 with iron. So basically the ratio is 2:4. So if you have 2 moles of iron oxide, you will get 4 moles of iron. Let's find the mass of the moles of hematite. Just consider kilogram as gram. Find the moles using N is M over MR. So we have mass 500 gram, and the MR, the mass of iron is 56. So Fe2O3, 2 times 56 plus 3 times 16. So the MR of iron 3 oxide will then be, let me do the calculation. We have 56 times 2, 112 plus 48. This is 160. So 500 divided by 160. The answer is 3.21125. So if you have 2 moles of iron, they'll make 4 moles of iron, 2 moles of iron oxide, you will get 4 moles of iron. But if you have, we have 1.24 moles, this I will cross multiply, this will be x, so 2x will be 4 times 3.125. okay, so 3.125 times 4 divided by 2, so this 2 will divide, and the value of x is 6.25. These are the moles of iron which should be produced, right? Okay, now we have the moles, we can find the mass using the same formula. N is m over mr. You have the mole 6.25. We want to find the mass, and mr of iron is 56. 56 will be multiplied with 6.25, so 6.25 times 56, the answer is 350. So therefore C is the correct answer. Okay, aluminum is used to make saucepans because apparent lack of reactivity. Aluminum has a layer of unreactive layer of its oxide on it, which make it unreactive. So the same question is asked, which property of aluminum explain its unreactivity? It has layer of oxide on it, this is true. It has low density. Aluminum does have low density, but it has nothing to do with unreactivity. Untrue. It is very good conductor. Again, the statement is correct, but it has nothing to do with the question. It is group 3 in the periodic table. This is correct statement, nothing to do with the unreactivity. So A is the correct answer. The bacterial decay, pollutant gases are released by bacterial decay of vegetable gas matter. The bacterial decay of vegetable matter is the main source of which gas? Okay, so carbon monoxide is actually produced, option A is carbon mono, which is produced by incomplete combustion of hydrocarbons. Untrue, incomplete combustion of hydrocarbons. Methane is actually produced by bacterial decay, so this is true. Nitrogen dioxide is produced from car engines, sulfur is from volcano eruption and from car engines. Several different treatments to purify water, used to purify the water supply. Which impurities could be removed by the treatment? Through filtration we remove solids, not the harmful microbes. Using carbon we remove the bad taste, right? So bad taste, this is not used to remove solids. Chlorination is done to remove harmful microbes, which mean all 3 statements for D are true, which means D is the correct answer. Which statement about the homologous series of alkanes is correct? Alkanes are saturated, option A says unsaturated, which is incorrect statement. Alkanes have general formula CnH2n plus 2, whereas this is the formula for alkenes, this is incorrect. The boiling point decreases as the number of carbon atom increases. The boiling point also increases with carbon atom, so this is again untrue. Liquid alkane become more viscous as the mol MR increases, so this is true. As you increase the carbon chain, it become more viscous, so D is the correct answer. Which compound has the empirical formula? This is important. Which compound has the empirical formula with the greatest MR? So let's first find their empirical formulas. The simple ratio for this, this will be CH3. The empirical formula, the ratio will be, simplest ratio is 1:3. If I divide all with 2, the empirical formula would be C2H5. And for this, if I divide with 5, the empirical formula would be CH2. And for this, the empirical formula is CH, because that's the simplest. Look, which compound have the greatest carbon and hydrogen atom? I can see they are present in group in B, option number B. So therefore, B would have the greater relative molecular mass. Which statement about the vegetable oil and margarine made from it is correct? Both are liquid, margarine is solid, so both are not liquids. Both occurs naturally. We actually convert margarine, so they do not occur naturally. Margarine has the higher melting point. Margarine does have higher melting point because that is solid, so this is true. And vegetable oil is liquid. Vegetable oil has fewer carbon atoms, carbon double bonds. Uh, Vegetable oil has fewer CC double bond than margarine. No, vegetable oil is unsaturated. This is unsaturated, so it has more CC double bond, whereas margarine is saturated, so this has no double bond. So C is the correct answer. When ethene reacts with steam, so ethene is C2H4 gas, steam is also a gas, you get ethanol through addition reaction, C2H5OH, phosphoric acid H3PO4, and for 300 degree 60 atm. These are the conditions, and the reaction is addition reaction. Which type of reaction? So clearly this option number 1 is true. This is not fermentation, polymerization or reduction, this is addition reaction. An ester is formed from the carboxylic acid. Ester is always formed when you react carboxylic acid with alcohols. So let's form an ester. How does the number of C atoms, how does the number of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen atom in ester differ from the total number of atom present in carboxylate and alcohol? Okay, so for example, you have ethanoic acid. This is your ethanoic acid, and you are reacting it with methanol. We are reacting it with methanol. This is ethanoic acid and methanol. We know that a condensation reaction will occur and water is removed, and the ester formed, the carbon of carboxylic acid is directly bonded to oxygen of alcohol. So the formula of ester will then be CH3COO, and this carbon is now bonded to oxygen, which is further bonded to CH3. Now if you see, from carboxylic acid and alcohol, 2 hydrogen atom and 1 oxygen is removed, so which means number of carbon atom will be same, not fewer. Hydrogen atom will be fewer because hydrogen is removed, and oxygen atom will also be fewer. So for C, all 3 statements are correct, therefore C is the correct answer. Polylactic acid is a polymer made to make biodegradable cups. The structure is shown, and in the structure you can see there is an ester linkage. There are so many ester linkages, CO2 in the middle of the chain. Which statement apply to polylactic acid? This is condensation. Whenever you see oxygen or nitrogen in the middle of the chain, this is always condensation polymer, but statement 1 says it is addition, so this is incorrect. This is condensation polymer. It is polyester, as I've already told you, this is polyester. The monomer used is polyethene. The monomer is not polyethene, this is surely a diol and dicarboxylic acid. Whenever you have a ester formed in any polymer, as discussed in the previous question, it is always alcohol and carboxylic acid. So this is also untrue. 2 and 3 statements are therefore correct. C is the correct answer. 2 large molecules P and Q both contain the same linkage. P occurs naturally but Q does not. So naturally occurring polymer, C straight away incorrect because nylon is synthetic, it's not natural. Q is not a natural polymer, which means, and they both have same linkage. Okay, so fat have ester linkage, whereas nylon, in the structure of nylon, you see the linkage, the amide linkage like this. But in fat you have carboxylic acid linkage, this linkage. So in the question says you have same linkage, this is untrue. Pterylene does have ester linkage and fat have ester linkage, this is true. Protein and pterylene, protein have amide linkage, so this is also untrue. So I hope you all enjoyed and learned this from this very discussion. And if you have any question regarding any particular statement or question, do comment in the sections. I'll be there to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.